Welcome to the 5-Minute Meetup. This is a 5-minute video I do on Fridays as opposed to my longer form videos on Tuesdays. And today's video is actually a request from Vegan Girl. It's a request to talk about how to start a novel. I think this is a question that at first glance seems really intuitive, but it actually isn't at all. And I think this is a great question because this is actually something I think a lot of people struggle with, especially when they're extremely new to the writing community. This struggle of how do I actually get started and do this? And it can be hard to know that because there's so many resources, there's so many places to begin, there's so much stuff. That it can be difficult to kind of decide where to go. So this video, I'm just gonna talk to you about some tips that I have for how to get started with a novel. So the first thing is to start with an idea. Start with an idea, 100%. How this usually goes for me is that I will start with a character, with a problem, and I will have a kind of idea of how they go about solving that problem. I think that this is a great place to start because it gives you something to work towards. If you just have an idea that doesn't have a problem or a way for that main character to find the solution, I find that it's really hard to get forward momentum, to kind of see where the story might go, and then you kind of don't end up starting or you end up losing steam really quickly. But essentially, every book, every novel begins with an idea. So get your idea down. What I will do is on my phone, when I'm kind of walking around, if inspiration strikes me, I will write down a book idea in my phone. And that way I have this list of ideas that I can kind of go through and decide which I feel the most excited about to pursue and go ahead with. After you have your idea, it's great to start with a loose plan of what you want to do. So you can go full on. You can do the Save the Cat beat sheets. I'm going to do a link below for that. Save the Cat writes a novel. You can go full on with a full outline. But sometimes I find that this can be so daunting, especially if you are a very new writer and you've never written a book before. The idea of doing this huge outline can be really daunting in getting you to start. My first novel that I did, I pantsed it. So that means I didn't plan anything. I just ran with whatever, just so that I could get words down on the page. So if it feels right to you, you can plan, but I would suggest to plan very loosely so that you're not getting bogged down so much by the plan that you don't actually begin the writing, which is the whole point of this. Don't start with too much. This is also something that can really kind of hinder you from getting started on your novel. Is for example, if you decide you're gonna do a sci-fi with 7 different worlds and 5 different point of views and 3 different tenses, and it's gonna have so many characters, a cast of 50 characters, and it's gonna be a 5-book series. Don't start with that. Because it's the same thing as doing the plotting. You get caught up in something that is so huge, that is so daunting, that you don't get started. It's like when you have a giant assignment due or something like that, and you know all of the things that you have to do to get this assignment done, you can get so caught up in the pain of that you end up procrastinating starting it at all. And the goal of this is that you want to start your novel, and so you want to make it as simple as possible for you to feel motivated to get started. So I would suggest starting with a plot that's simpler, starting with one point of view, with one tense, and leading from there, especially for your first novel. Something that's also kind of peripherally important to starting a novel is giving yourself a schedule, because consistency brings results. And consistency brings results that are a lot more predictable than when you don't have a schedule for your writing. This doesn't have to be fast and loose and rigid. It can just be you saying to yourself, once a week, I'm gonna write for an hour. That's it. Just something where you know that you are on a consistent basis going to get writing done. That is something also that can help you feel motivated to get started, because it is this giant task of writing a novel, but broken down into these little steps of 1-hour writing sessions, which again isn't as daunting. So this advice is really a mix of like, how do you get the content to start a novel, like the idea and your plan, and what are the things that you do or don't do so that you actually have the motivation to get started, because both of those contribute. You have to have the raw materials of the idea to get started, but you also need to have the motivation to get started writing a book, because both are so important. And I find both are the reasons why people will say, I want to write a novel, but then never actually get started, because they're missing one or the other. They're either missing the content or they're missing the motivation, and you gotta have both. I feel very Fonzie like this. I don't know why this happened. Anyway, the final step to how to write a novel, how to start a novel, is to start. And this is really the most obvious part of this. Put pen to paper, put fingers to a keyboard, and write something. Write anything. Just write something. And sometimes it starts really from there. Sometimes you might start with just having your idea and just sitting down for an hour once a week and writing something, or half an hour once a week, whatever works for you, just sitting and writing something. Because I find so often what stops people from even getting started on a novel is that they just never start. They talk about what they want to write, and they never actually put their butt in a chair and write it. And that's the most important step of actually starting a novel. That's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to me already, please subscribe below. I post twice a week, on Tuesday longer videos and Friday shorter videos like this one. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.